In my first video about array formulas, I gave you various examples of why array formulas would be necessary, because they can do things that normal formulas can't do. Now, getting into how array formulas work is a very extensive topic, and the best way to approach it is to give a lot of examples. So in this video, I'm only going to give you one example. I know it takes a lot of effort and research to understand how these work, but the best way is to look at some examples now. So first thing is we're going to be looking at how to extend normal functions by using array formulas. And the first example, example number one, is the length function. The length function is used to determine how many characters are in a cell. Here's a quick example. I say equals len, open bracket, select this cell, E8, put on the ending bracket, and press the OK button. It says there are 44 characters in this cell. So that's how you use the length function. Now, some functions, no pun intended, but the sum function, sum, it allows you to highlight a range. Let me just go to another sheet here. The sum function allows you to say equals sum. Let me just move that up a little bit here. Equals sum. It allows us to select a range like this, and it's going to add up all those numbers. No problem, right? Sum function is meant to do that. Sum up the values in a range. Even says it in here. Add all the numbers in a range of cells. So we're allowed to put not just one cell where it would be like this, but a range of cells from B8 to B12. The same thing would be true for if I were to say how many non-blank cells are in this range. We're allowed to select a range. So I go like this. I press enter. There are 5 non-blank cells in that range. Once again, here we are summing up all the numbers here in this range. Perfectly fine. However, there are other functions, like the length function, that is only meant to work on one cell at a time. So here we see the length of cell A8. The length of cell A9. We're doing each one individually because the length function is only meant to work on one cell at a time. It even says so in here. It says returns the number of characters in a text string. It can only take one cell at a time. It's not meant to work on a range of cells. So I get the length of each individual value for the cell to the left. So you can see here it's referring to A11, this one's referring to A12, and then at the top I'm simply saying I want to add up the length of all of these, so I do it individually, and then here I'm saying sum up, because the sum function allows us to add up various numbers in a range. So here's our range. We add them all up, we get a 37. Now look what happens if I try to use the length function with a range. So it's saying the length of A8 to A12, all 5. Well, it doesn't work. We can't do that. Excel doesn't understand what we're trying to do, and we get an error message. Now, if I go over here, look what we have here. Here we have the correct answer, 37, when we add up all these different numbers like we see here in 2 steps. Step 1, entering the formula, dragging it down. Step 2, using the sum function to add these all up. Well, we can't use the length function on a range unless we use it in an array formula. So here we have it where we're using the length function with a range of cells, A8 to A12, what we see in here. And then the sum function is getting all the results and adding them together. So now I'm going to highlight this portion of the formula, and I'm going to press the F9 key on the keyboard that will evaluate and show us what's stuck inside of this array formula. So I press F9, and here we have the 6, 5, 5, 8, and 13, just like we have over here in individual cells. So here we have inside of the array formula 5 different items. So I press the escape key to go back to what it's doing. It takes all those numbers and it adds them up. So we have to press Control Shift Enter, and then we get the 37. Here we see the formula text, and this is the formula result. So this is one example of how to use an array formula to make it a little bit simpler. Instead of doing various steps like we have over here in column B, we can use an array formula to get our answer of how many characters in all of these cells all together. We can do it in one step. So in this series I will be going into many other uses of array formulas, but the best thing is to see them one by one. And of course, you have to do Control Shift Enter, not just the normal Enter key. If I were to go back here and press Enter, we're not getting our 37, we're only getting a 13. It's not processing it properly. So you have to come back into the formula bar, hold down the Control key, hold down the Shift key, and press the Enter key. So I'll be creating more videos with many more examples on how these arrays work.